Hi everyone and welcome along to Sonic Academy with me, Chris, and I'm joined today by Phil Johnston. How are you?
Hello, I'm very good. Chris, how are you, dude?
I'm good. Guys, so as part of our Classic Balearic Trance Takeover, we are going to dive in and look at one of the most famous Balearic tracks there is. No, not El Nino. No, not Coast to Coast Home. Why we didn't do those two tracks is really beyond us. We decided, well, no, Phil decided, in his infinite wisdom, to go on and try and reproduce one of the biggest tracks around that time. Not other than Café Del Mar, the 3-in-1 mix.
Yeah,
So,
massive track. So it was. I remember the sort of my first. I remember moving to Belfast. Got my first job up there. I was working in a music store, and I remember like being out in like cheesy clubs at nights and stuff, and that would come on. It was it's sort of one of the dance tracks that crossed over into the mainstream, and I just remember it absolutely destroying like bars, clubs, and everything at the time.
yeah,
And then so the MC505, Roland MC505 came out that year, and it was my job to demo and sell them. So I'd like made this sort of Café Del Mar demo where I could show like building it all up from scratch, and
yeah,
like doing all because it had the 505 had that sort of plucky Pizz sound.
right.
So yeah, I used to do that, and I sold so many of them because of that demo. So
People just
thanks
come
very
and go,
much.
oh, is this what you can make Café Del Mar? Brilliant.
Yeah.
So my memories off the track are it was around quite a long time. I was working for a studio at the time, and the guy who ran the studio, he had a promotions company, so he would be selling into Virgin and HMV and stuff at the time, and Cafe Del Mar just kept coming round and round. So about '97, it was originally released in '93, but the mix that everyone knows is 1997.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
that the original mix had slightly different chords. I think that was one of the sort of issues with it. I remember, I think it was I read on maybe Wikipedia that the 3-in-1 mix was the first mix to have those specific chords where it sort of the
Uh,
melody fit in a bit better, but can't
So I
confirm
mean,
or deny that.
the track sat about for 5 years, and then got various. There was a Neil and Kane remix. There's a Oliver Leib remix. It's been remixed many times, but
Yeah,
I think
this
that
is the one.
the definitive one is the 3-in-1 mix that we all know.
Was it the first video to include a suitcase,
Possibly, and then Darude included the suitcase and
beach ball?
Beach Ball. Did it have a suitcase?
I think it had a suitcase, and then yeah,
We I remember us going to a video director said, "What sort of video do you want?" We shot in Ibiza, and I was like, anything except please
a
no
suitcase.
suitcase." I don't know what, nobody has ever been able to tell me why suitcases were in trance videos in the late '90s. If you
Why
go
is
back
everyone
and watch them,
asking for suitcases?
yeah,
It's the thing.
yeah.
Was was that before Pulp Fiction?
Nah, but no, Pulp Fiction was probably 94, 95, so it was probably
So,
that sort of opening up. Because there
yeah.
was a couple of videos which opened the suitcase and never. I can't remember. I think it might have been Darude's Sandstorm, wasn't there? Steps and stuff. Because
Yeah.
that was 30 years old, like in August there, and there was a big thing in Finland where he's from, where
Yeah.
people were on the steps and they did
Right. Okay.
they ran. There's like they jogged the course of the video, so it was kind of like and I think at 12 o'clock every radio station in Finland played
Right.
played the
Okay.
track, so it was really cool sort of
Class.
thing for him. Yeah.
So what are
So
we doing today, Chris?
so this all stems from, again, when you're recreating these things. We know, when we're recreating presets and stuff, there is a certain amount of research you have to go and do. You have to go back and try and find any interviews that the guys have done. Do they give away a synth? Do they give away,
Yeah.
maybe a preset that they use? So there is a video on YouTube.
Yeah, that was the most helpful source for me. A video back from I'm not sure how long ago, where it shows him using an S3000 sampler.
Yep.
That's for the drums.
Because he handily turns down the volume of the sampler, and you can hear what's coming from the sampler and what's not. So it was all drums from the sampler.
Yeah, so mostly drums from sampler, and then there's a stab coming from the sampler, and possibly the organ stab, and then the Nord lead does the doot 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 doot. There is the first main riff, which is a sort of synthy version. I'm not sure what that comes from. It could have been another part on the Nord.
Yeah.
But you don't see that. That's not actually in that video.
Right.
And then there's obviously the JV1080 with the big pizzicato string, which is not actually the pizzicato string patch, which I thought. after a lot of A B, and it's called pick bass. We'll go into all that anyway. But there's a few surprises of things I was like, I could have sworn it was that, and it's something completely different. The
Because
bass,
I mean, around that time we thought that it was the same sound, same preset as Insomnia, which is the other sort of big math. But
it's
Insomnia, there's a video of Sister Bliss saying that is a clav, but we don't believe her, do we?
we don't believe her. No, I'm pretty sure that's still the pits from the JD 800.
Yeah.
I think
she said it was a JD 800. It was a modified clav, which we don't think it is. We think it's actually
spoof, unless the clav sound had a layered pizzicato.
but because it's
out.
a pure, and that again in the 3-in-1 mix we have that pizzicato, that classic pizzicato string. It became a bit of a theme for a few records around the time, and thankfully, not like the Super Saw. Not every record used it. You know, it was only a few.
Sash did he use it?
Encore une fois.
Was that
ding 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 ding? Yeah. So
possibly.
And there's a couple of people likened El Nino to that, and I never really put two and two together. And one night I heard it, went actually, yeah, I get it. So, what's the first step when you're looking at all his stuff? Is it go and get drums or go and find what you?
Well, so the kick, obviously that's an easy one for us because we got kick 3. So just the start of the track's quite clean. Right. So the start of the track's just a kick and the wee percussion loop. So I was able to just grab the kick and chuck it into kick 3.
And it analysed it and spat us out a nice.
Yeah, so I tried it a couple of different ways. I did the default, I did the accurate, and I did the what's the other one? The clean kick. And I think I ended up using the clean kick version just because it had less nodes, and it is essentially just a 909. The authentic version import sounded really close. But I just like the clean kick. I just like it's sort of, you're starting with I wanted to start with what they would have started with, which is sort of a cleaner 909, and then there's saturation coming from the Mackie 8-bus that just driving the input channel.
Sorry, that I was going to say, it's in the video.
It's definitely an 8-bus, yeah.
You can see an 8-bus, which we both had. So
yeah.
And you think he was driving it just on the channel strip?
I would imagine so. Yeah, it sounds very Mackie. It had that just that the way those distorted was phenomenal. It just it just added that mid weight to everything. It was incredible. There is a guy, don't know if you know the Air Windows guy.
Air Windows?
It's like a bunch of plugins. He's like this guy that just sort of does all these wee mini plugins, but he's done a Mackie 8-bus.
Emulation?
I think he did the VLZ one.
Right.
I think it was the similar
same
preamps in it. Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of that, you can even hear in the 909s. It's just got that extra, slight breakup that you get from the desk.
And kind of, do you think, in the 70s and 80s, the SSL sound, do you think with those early trance records, I mean, this was the first desk that was this was a 32 bus or 32 channel 8-bus desk.
Yeah.
That was affordable for, normal people in terms of the SSL was £250,000 back in.
Yeah. This was what, 4 or 5 grand or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it was expensive, but it was like,
it was an achievable studio desk. It had like 6 auxes and and you could get a sidecar and all that for it.
Which we had the sidecar, we had the meter bridge, and we had the D subs
patch.
Yeah. I loved because it was a big desk.
It was a brilliant desk.
Yeah.
It was a bit noisy, so you had to sort of play it, when you were doing your mix downs.
So El Nino, I do remember 2 or 3 people, and was like, right, unmute now, and everyone's like taking off their mutes and introducing. Yep. But do you think that give those records of the 90s a certain sound? Because a lot of them went through that desk.
Yeah, definly. There's a mid-ridge punch, and then you couldn't go too heavy with the bass on them because it sounded weird. So everyone's, if you notice, like modern mixes now have a lot of sub in them, where in the 90s none of the trance tracks really did.
Also, we didn't have big enough monitors that we could hear subs.
Yeah. So we got the kick. Obviously, the next element is the 909. Here, I'll just actually the main bit at the start is this bongo loop. So I tried recreating that sample, the bongo loop, with individual instruments, tried loads of different ways, and ultimately I ended up recording it from the video.
Mm-hmm.
Because he solos that for a second in the video. Now the video is really shitty quality,
Yeah.
but then I've sort of just tidied it up and resampled it just to sort of try and get the essence of it. But there's something about that loop, so the skippiness of it,
Yeah,
the sounds. I don't know what it's, maybe tablas or something.
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure
It's not a bongo or anything.
It's not a bongo, no.
It's like it's a really sort of sounds like the sort of first second of something. It's maybe a bit longer.
Yeah.
And what
so
I'm sorry. The one thing about this record, I suppose, and this starts it, is the groove, is the shuffle.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this, he's obviously matched the groove of all the other sounds to the skippiness of this, so it is quite skippy in general. And then we've got like just a sort of tambourine loop. Again, these are all coming off the S3000 sampler, so it's hard to really tell where they come through. I went through maybe 50 sample CDs from the time, went through all the Akai stuff, went through so much stuff to just try and find some of these loops, but could have just sampled them off records, you know what I mean? You just don't know where they came from.
We were grabbing, I think you were grabbing stuff left, right and centre at that time. You didn't always remember where you grabbed a little hat or a clap from.
Okay, so the bass is really interesting because it is the lately bass sound, right?
Okay.
I couldn't get it for ages. I was like, it's definitely the core of it. It's the lately bass. He's tuned down one of the oscillators in it.
Okay.
So normally it's like it's an FM bass. So you've got your oscillator on sort of basically 0.5, which would be your normal octave, and then when you do on the lately bass, there's like an octave up and an octave up again, mixed in. But one of those octaves he's pulled down, and it gives it a less sort of spiky sound. It sort of gives it a warmer, beefier sound. So can you hear the lateliness of it?
Yeah, it absolutely can.
But it is subtly different. That's quite a long intro. I mean, we're going probably a minute and a half, and that was fairly standard.
I just love everything's playing off that first loop, and it just sounds so groovy there.
Yeah, if you listen to it's all skipping along beautifully.
And have you got any swing going on there?
Yes, so I've got a few swings in action.
Can I ask? I can't remember from the video. What DAW was he using?
Logic.
It is Logic, so it would be the
16B or 16C, maybe C or B. Yeah. So that's 66 at 70%, so probably a 55, maybe a 60. And then we've got our organ sound coming in there. So I just recreated that in Anna. Again, I think that it's probably off the Orbit.
Get the nice pink Anna.
Oh, have you not seen that?
No.
Just messing about with some skins. So, yeah. Basically a few oscillators just replicating an organ. We've got that partial one, which is using all the organ sounds you can morph between. I don't want to touch anything because it took me ages to get it. But,
I presume you've got it saved.
yeah, we've got a name and everything on it. Let's just double save that. So I can mute some of the oscillators so you can hear. High end, low end.
Yeah.
And then there's an actual pretty big chord.
Right.
Again, that's just done by ear. There's no.
I was going to say. So how do you work? How are you working out a whole big? So there's a sound design to build, and then there's the actual chord to build. It's kind of.
Yeah, you sort of have to do both at the same time. You can actually go, and if you go into, it's harder with organs because the organs have their own partials as well.
Yeah.
So if you go into an analyzer, you're seeing the root notes and then all the harmonics for each of the notes that are being played. So it's really hard to use that. So you kind of have to do it by ear. I'm sort of just listening for a third, listening for a seventh, listening for a ninth. and just trying to work it out. And I wouldn't say this is exactly close. It's obviously come from a sample, a chord stab sample, I think off the Orbit.
And are you opening up an EQ analyzer with a MIDI keyboard underneath it so you can see where the sort of fundamental?
Not with a MIDI. No? If you open up the analyzer on. So there's what's that? C, an A sharp. That ties in at the 7th. We got G sharp. That's the 6th, is it? Again, that'll probably be a harmonic.
Yeah.
Sort of see two of them together, and then F. There's a few that are sort of pretty clear. You can see the C, F, A sharp, which would be, classic sort of C minor 7th. The tracks in an F, I think.
So I'd say I told you. I mean, I've been DJing out doing classic gigs quite a lot recently, and I'm playing this. So I am. The track is embedded in my brain at the moment. So I mean, it does sound exactly like the organ. Because there is that sort of.
It is pretty close, yeah.
And another key element is that sort of very quick reverb.
So yeah, one of the interesting things that I'd never heard on the record before was the the second bass. It's like a Juno sound.
I never heard that.
No. And it makes a lot more sense when the riff comes in because it's using similar notes to the riff.
I was going to say, I mean, it's like is it the same pattern as the riff? Is it sitting underneath the riff?
It's just really beautiful rhythms, isn't it?
Just beautiful interplay between everything. It's just got a really sweet groove going, and it's just interplay between everything is sort of just playing off each other, and it's just
very, very
building
clever.
and building and building until you get the sort of real. That is the cleverness of it all.
Yeah. So at that point, the drums. Is that clappy or the? Yeah.
Sorry. At what point do you pick that out? Where did you hear? Hold on. There's a second bass going on in here.
That was on the video.
Oh, right.
I can sort of hear it, obviously, but on the video he actually goes over to the Juno.
Yeah.
And normally it's quite sort of filtered down in the track, but he opens the filter up in the video so you can actually see or you can hear what the open sound sounds like. So it was able to then go, okay, that's the open sound. It's a square. It's an octave square, and I can work back then. And
are you spending days sort of rewinding?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
You wouldn't recommend this endeavor to anyone, would you?
I spent 2 weeks solid, probably just like on each bit, just really nerding out. But it is fun. That crash was hard to get. I'm not sure if that's almost like a splash or a open hi hat, like a metally hi hat.
Yeah, with sort of the very attack taken. It's just but it's a key. It's one thing it really would poke out for me. That
yeah, and then I think if we move on to here, that's the classic metal hat that comes in.
Right.
And if I'm completely honest, I just sampled that from the track. I tried about a million different hats and just couldn't. Just something so metallic and nice about that.
And nicely pitched down and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bright. It just has that sort of energetic quality.
Would you have, back in the day, pitched like elements like that up or down to sort of move instead of EQing things out of the way, it's to sort of pitch them out of the way of each other?
Yeah, you can do, yeah.
I would have done,
especially the 909 hi-hats, especially you're always sort of trying to get them into the right spot.
Nice.
So everything's going nicely, fills as well. Ride coming in, pretty standard stuff. Like a subby lead synth that starts coming in, rises up.
Right.
Again, something that you don't hear on the record,
No,
but you
no.
can feel the energy sort of
Building.
rising. It's again very clever production. Weirdly, no Phil there before that.
Just
Drops.
that drop. So let's stop there, and we'll sort of we've looked at the first half and sort of the drums and the interplay between the bass. So
Yeah.
this is now another key element. This first drop. The one thing I'd
Yeah.
probably like to remind everyone, this charted in March 1997. So this is probably made in 1996.
Yeah.
This sounds like it was made.
Yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. I mean, in 1996, it was so limited. You know, we possibly Cubase on a Mac at that stage. You know,
Yeah, so it didn't even look like the Logic. The Logic project doesn't have any audio in it at all.
there was probably no Logic audio
So
at that
it's all coming out of MIDI.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's just coming through the sampler at that stage, you know.
The other big thing which we struggled with back in 1998 and 97 was MIDI timing.
Yeah.
And this is really tight.
Yeah, well, it's
know,
tight here because it's enabled him, but I think there is.
Yeah, but even the
Logic
ridge-
was tight. He had. I think you can see in the rack. There's. Do you know the MT? Do you know the Logic one that had the timing thing on it?
Uniter.
Yeah, maybe he got that afterwards. I'm not sure, but it's it's in the rack. The other thing I think you have to give credit to in this record is this is a blueprint for so many tracks that came after it.
Yeah.
Just all the different ways that the arrangement was built, because the arrangement in this is probably the best bit of it, isn't it? You know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's that sort of double break, initial break. Although Chicane sort of did that as well, but just dropping down.
Because that's the moment in clubs. We did it as well. Like after El Nino, we dropped down to just kick and bass, because that's when everybody went, in the club. Here we fucking go. You know that.
Yeah.
That was the moment. So you wanted that sort of juxtaposition between everything that went before.
So the sound is so hard
Right.
to get. He's doing it on a Nord.
Right.
And let me go into this in detail. So the Nord riff.
Let's everyone just strap yourselves in for the next 10 minutes.
The Nord riff.
Yeah, the Nord. So
it's a single oscillator saw, technically. I think actually I'm using two, am I? Got a noise just for clickiness. But yeah, this is the main sort of sound on the Nord. He's using sync, but the sync channel that's triggering the sync doesn't have pitch on it. So there's no way to do it in Ana, because the pitch of the sync is tied to the actual oscillator. So when he's using an envelope on the sync amount to give that clicky thing.
right. So this is the initial block.
Can't really see it there, but the mod is basically oscillator sync to envelope 1, and envelope 1 is just like a filter envelope.
Right.
I think on the Nord it's just it's like an attack decay, so it's like a third envelope, or it's used for pitch, but the pitch isn't tracked, so it's given the same like sync sweep signal for every note. In Ana we can't exactly replicate that, so if you play a single note it'll sound the same, but both notes. And let me increase that a bit so you can hear.
And so this was the hardest bit for you, was it?
Yeah, just again, just Ana's architecture doesn't necessarily enable you to do it exactly correct. And and then I've got the lower oscillator in just for a bit more extra weight to it,
Yeah.
and then noise for a bit more attack. But it's probably the least close of any of the other elements in the sound. I'd love to be able to get it a bit closer, to be honest.
And could you see in the video, was there any settings in the Nord?
Yeah, so I was able to get the settings pretty close, but it looks like only a few of the knobs are in the correct positions for the preset.
Okay, right, yes, that's right.
So obviously the Nord doesn't have, when you select a different preset, the knobs don't move. So whatever preset he's been on before, the knobs he turns to the filter, a bit of the envelope, and then that as well. So you can sort of hear it, but I wasn't able to get it exactly. You can get it fairly close. I can get it pretty close on the Nord, but
right,
wanted to do it on it. Not a million miles away. Again, that just lovely thing of the bass and stuff just starting to sort of fade away. I think it's very clever.
Yeah. And one of my favourite parts of the record is just coming up here.
The BBE, 7 days.
Yeah. Just mega. So
go ahead.
The orchestra, that is a key, because I'm glad you nailed it, because like when you're playing out in the club, that just when it comes in, that ding ding, and I distinctly remember hearing the BBE one in a club one night, and it was down to that very sort of staccato choir that just was ding ding, and it would take the head off you in the club, you know.
Yeah. So luckily it was from the Orbit. It is just an Orbit sample.
Yep.
And he's playing 2 octaves.
So ding ding.
They're playing.
Okay, right.
And it is just, there's no actual second stab on the downbeat.
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
So it's just like a click.
So it's just they crash.
Yeah.
Wow. It's epic, man. It's an epic effect.
And then the organs and stuff comes back in. Still got that low synth. That low synth now goes through pretty much the whole track.
Does the filter stay the same?
Starts filtering up at some point,
right?
yeah. Maybe a bit high there. It's not that high in the actual track. And there's no that's the other thing that's interesting. There's no like nowadays when anyone's making a dance track, they're like sidechain compression, sidechain this, sidechain, get everything pumping. There's no sidechain compression at all in this track. Like.
It is the parts working together. Another unusual sound, but another sort of really memorable sound.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this came from. I've tried to recreate it as closely as possible, but to me it just sounds like a pitched up synth. Whether it was a stab that he's pitched up on, I'm not sure. I just don't know where. I thought it maybe would have been a sample. Went through all the Orbit samples, went through all the JV samples, even some of the expansion cards and stuff, and didn't hear it anywhere. Didn't hear it in any sample packs. So it could be a Nord preset that he's modified. Because again, the Nord had 4 parts, so he could have had part 1 doing the. Although he did the Nord is in performance mode, so that maybe.
That's 2 sounds playing, is it?
I think it was. I think the performance mode might have been all 4. I'm not sure. Although in performance mode, I think you still could have assigned different MIDI notes to different things. Is that right? Could you have? You would know better than I.
I that part of it I can't remember, to be honest with you. I can't remember using it as a 4. Did I use it as a 4-part? I must have done.
Yeah, we must have. Yeah, because it definitely was set up that way. I just don't know what the way the architecture works. Whether you can I know there's performance patches that use all four in one patch. But I think you could, as you say, have a patch doing two. You could have, two presets, 1 and 2 for one like big pad sound, and then you could have 3 for a bass and 4 for something else. So, could have been that. So yeah, in Anna, let's have a look.
So again, weird chord or weird oscillator tunings, is it?
So it is a chord. Let's take the chord.
Bring Anna across. I can't see it.
Oh, sorry.
That's it.
So just one of the notes is being pitched up. That could have been happening with like a phaser. Maybe that's where I'm getting the pitch from.
Right.
I am using the phaser as well. And then it's just one of the oscillators is so it's just a filter.
Weird.
Some noise. And then obviously when you turn the chord on, get the fill.
Alright. Show us the chord then.
The fifth, big fifth with an octave.
Fifth, okay. A nice sound, isn't it?
It is a nice sound. It's a very modern production vibe to it, with these elements. So we just, again, the only thing that really changes there throughout, I think the ride comes in.
We wouldn't have the attention span for this today. 16 bars, that would have been gone.
Yeah.
Another big sort of drop coming.
High string.
Yeah. Just builds tension.
The other thing I should mention is none of the sounds or presets is messed with almost every bit of them. So it's really, really hard to find the right things, because like that string sound, for example.
Yeah. That's
the preset of that actually has this tone as well on it.
It's like called orbit pad, is it? Or?
Yeah. Whether he fades that up later, because it does sound like the strings get bigger. I'm not sure. It's hard to hear when the whole mix is going, but in the breakdown, that's what it sounds like.
That's a JV.
Yeah. So what else have we got?
Yeah, before we get to the meat and two veg.
Yeah. So there's high string and that pad. Again, the strings off JV as well.
So again, up until this point, it's all been one note. It's all been, groove and playing off each other. And now we've introduced the really big chords, the beautiful.
Yeah, so that comes in there, and so that's usually sort of more. Again, that could be off the Nord, maybe.
Yeah, we don't know where that's from.
I guess. Don't know where that's from. That's not actually in the video, so. Oh, and you can hear the stab. Where's the stab? Again, I couldn't find the exact stab, so I've done a mix of.
Now, around that time, there was a million sample CDs with sort of Detroit house stabs on them.
Yeah, so there's a Detroit one, and then there's like this filtered piano one. So it's fairly close to. Okay, so the big one.
Vloop, 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 vloop.
Picket, that's what it's called.
Right.
That seems to be as close to the sound. Again, there was some modifications with the tones.
So this is a bass. Is it? No, it's a pick. It's a pick string.
I think what section is it in? Let's have a look. It's in mallets.
Right. I mean,
mallets
Roland, could you not have sorted out the bloody menu? And
yeah, it's a bit. It's sort of in between two sections, really. I think. Sort of analog sequences, techno hits, hammer bells, blue hits, Raveborg. Yeah, it was sort of all just the weird techno noises, wasn't it?
Right.
So
that's a guitar. That's a string.
That's the pizzicato.
Yeah.
That's what's giving it the pluck.
Yeah, that's the muted guitar.
Yeah, so Pizz, mute guitar, yeah. That's in the original preset, but I don't know if it's in it. I'd check it out. I think that's turned down as well.
And for those young'uns watching, we had to see all the
yeah, to do press the actual buttons.
Yeah. It's not that, but we had see the little blue screen at the top left. That was it.
Yeah.
And to give us all that pages of information, like so everyone just went. I think I'll just use this preset. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the amazing thing. He didn't use any. It says he's went in and done that. You know, it could have just been as simple as sometimes switching the tone switch, but he's gone in and edited stuff, edited levels, and.
Well, somebody called me. I don't know who it was. Somebody called me a preset queen the other day. I was like, yeah, well.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's always about the end goal, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one cares.
So this is the big moment, the big thing everybody remembers.
It's also actually using the built-in reverb, as far as you can tell.
Yeah.
Good reverb. Again, that he's went through the reverbs and changed it because that's not the original reverb on that sound. But,
okay.
Changed it to like stage 2. I think it was on maybe one of the rooms. Still pretty epic reverb for the time. Now there's one bit I haven't actually done, and I did intend to do it, but
blip.
Yeah, the blip blips. So again, I'm not sure how he would have done that. He might have had to resample the whole record into the
Akai,
and then use that. So I haven't done that. We could try it now if you want, but it's like a swooped, isn't it?
It could, yeah. It's just like sort of a bar reversed or something, isn't it?
Yeah. I never heard in the. I turned it up a wee bit louder than normal because.
If you're going to say this sort of high pitched, tick.
Yeah.
I always heard that. Yeah.
I'd never like when I was analyzing it and that came in, I was like, has that always been there?
Yeah, that's does it give it a shuffle? Another.
Yeah.
Everything's really tight and short, isn't it? Everything.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what the original sound is off. Again, he might have resampled, or it almost sounds unless he's layered it with a tambourine just to give more percussion. But there's definitely like a wee sort of shakery thing comes in on top of it. Then that sort of just carries on, and then the last sound that come back in is the sweepy synth. The other thing as well, the bass does not change under the chords. It's just like just staying the same. So which is odd. Let's solo the basses and
So it's still just the two basses going.
How does that work?
Listen to that.
It's so good, isn't it?
It's just even just a little bit of reverb on the bass there, and a little bit of delays going. Just
so clever. It's taste, isn't it? It's just there's that. It's that undescribable thing. Like, you can't tell people how to do that. He's just got to that point and went, "That's it."
No, but it's just one of those things where you're just you're probably just going there. Yeah, that's it. And then you're doing another rhythm, you're going, yeah, that's that. And you're filtering stuff down, and everything's just,
yeah.
It's sometimes it just came together rhythmically, and was just, and I think it feels like it's lost in records today, where it's just interplay between all the parts. There's no, as you say, there's no. He's not compressing the shit out of everything. There's no sidechain compression going on. There's not a million phase rotations going on. There's not all this multi-band compression. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, what is there is correct.
Yeah. I mean, there's the only thing I think's going on. You can see he's got PCM 70 and a quadriverb. That's the only two effects in the rack. So they're going to aux 1 and aux 2. And I don't even think they're being used that much, because I think maybe only the original riff has got a reverb on it. The main riff reverb's coming from the JV, and then I think all you're getting, all you've got to play with then is EQ and whether you're driving the inputs hard or not. I mean, he's definitely driving them on some. I don't know whether he's got the. You may be able to tell me if do you know you had the output card on the S3000.
Mm-hmm.
The knob on the front, did it only control 1 and 2?
The headphone, was it volume knob at the front?
Volume knob on the front.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know whether you had the output card or was everything on that just running through 2 tracks. The S3000 had a sound though. It had a really tight. It was like a very forward sound. I always remember comparing like my A3000, the Yamaha, to you had an S3000, didn't you?
Yeah.
Before you got the 6000s.
Yeah.
There's a sound to it that, like the A3000 sounded a bit woolier, and a bit sort of scooped and softer, where the Akai's just had this, like, I don't know, presence or attack or something to, like a weight to them, a mid weight to them that.
And is that, do you think that's down to the digital analog conversion? Or?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah. It's again, Phil, at the time you're using that, guys, and you're running through the desk, and you don't realize at the time these things are imparting a vibe.
Yeah.
And it's only when you change then to a Mackie Digital 8 bus, or you then in the box, and you're kind of going, listen, these records, there was something crunchy about them. There was something,
Yeah.
And we're trying to get back, we're always trying to get back to those.
The other thing I've been thinking about a lot in these, like, with the way Ableton works now, it has all the automatic time stretching and stuff. I think you're losing groove that you would have got. Do you remember if, like, say you put a sample into an Akai and you're trying to loop it up? It was a fucking pain in the dick. Because you didn't know what tempo it was supposed to be at, what speed you were supposed to be doing. So you had to just, like, pitch it.
I'm just laughing.
Pain in the dick.
Probably for the first time hearing the expression, it was a pain in the dick. But so I go on. There's a Depeche Mode site where they've picked out all the samples they've used in their records, and some of the samples they picked out are how they've got them. It's like from some classical record, but it is pitched up an octave and 20 cents, and the way the notes are falling is giving it a groove.
because the loop is maybe a slightly off kilter, and that's where that's where the shuffle comes from on that original percussion loop, because you're not looping it directly on, So I think that's lost. When I'm listening to this compared to when I'm listening to modern stuff, there's an aliveness in this that comes from all that stuff being slightly out of kilter, maybe, or just also sort of more manually maneuvered, if that makes any sense.
It felt like you were molding things almost like by hand. You were tuning stuff down and going, tuning stuff up. Oh, the first half of that really grooves. So
Yeah,
you were looping the first half of the loop around, going, that's giving me an interesting groove. Or totally,
yeah.
I think, yeah,
And
when
that's
you're
lost now because everything's just
totally.
going in, being completely time stretched. So you can just put a quantize on it, just get it exactly on, and
So,
that's you
so
done.
you're not getting a crazy different take on that loop you're dropping in. It's just
Yeah,
that's the
and
loop.
the other thing
Yeah,
as well, you couldn't see. So say you put a loop into an S3000, you couldn't see where the stuff was landing, whether it was landing on the one, whether it was landed on the quarter note or end. You
yeah,
just
yeah,
had
yeah.
to go, huh?
Yeah.
That's probably about right there. Yeah,
Turn the knob and big,
yeah,
and it was like 35,222,
yeah.
223. It was your start point and your end
You're just
point and
like,
stuff.
oh, that sort of
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like the sweet spot, you know.
I think
So
no, definitely. I think that's definitely something. Is that everything's been done too automatically for us now, and
mm,
it's we've lost an element of this. The art of sampling. It was an art. It was an absolute
yeah.
art.
The other thing as well, obviously we're enabled and we're fully bang on time. But you remember going back and you had to like have your kick at the top
Yep, yep.
and go all the way through your tracks to get it
What
like
I,
in sync.
I have interviewed Chicane and Thrill Seekers and Steve Jones. We talked about the old software, and they all said the same. We had to have the most important element at the top, pads at the bottom because they weren't.
They could
But
be slow, yeah.
was it an urban myth, or was it
Oh
actually?
no, 100%. Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
definitely was. Yeah,
if you go back to one of our records under Afterburn, Frat Boy, there's lip percussion. The MIDI timing is all over the shop,
yeah,
but there's almost like a charm to it. When I listen back to it, it's like
yeah,
it's like listening back to old DJ mixes where you can hear them push the record or slow the record down. There's a
yeah.
not a not
It's
clinical.
Yeah, and I think that again, that's another thing that's lost. I think records today they're so precise,
Yeah,
and that preciseness is boring to the ears. I think
yeah,
like even if what was happening was wrong, there's like just the way do you remember like just a kick and a loop going together? The kick and the loop would flam in and out of phase because there would just be these micro timings that were
yeah,
like
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
changing. So you would get this like and depending on like if you had a bass on that note as well or you had a bass on a different note in between. If the bass was on that note as well, that would affect the timing of that kick and that loop together. So they would get these interactions where stuff was changing and just it felt way more organic, I guess. But
I hate everything being so overproduced and so clinical and so precise. And young guys talking today about you know using all these analytic tools and stuff to really precisionally
yeah,
change everything, phase rotate it, and you're like, yeah, but your part is shit. Get your part. Like if you listen
yeah.
to the parts in that record, they are,
Yeah.
the
What's your groove like? Does your groove
yes,
actually is it killer? Like going back to that bass and the interaction with the percussion and stuff. It's all just like you can just feel the.
just
I think
just
maybe because nowadays when you're producing a track, you've got a million different plugins to sit and fart about with. Back
yeah,
then, the only things you could fart about with were groove, the
true,
actual synth programming.
yeah.
That was it. The notes in the part. There was
You,
no.
you
There
were
was no like
low to
sitting. I wasn't going grabbing a compressor, plugging the compressor in, then into another EQ, and then
yeah.
into a reverb and a sidechain. That you were doing anything. I was just
Smooth,
going into the
smooth, get smooth on it, and
yeah,
get where have all these build up harsh frequencies? Everything's harsh. Just enjoy. Uh, yeah, I think you were grabbing samples from records, so you also had that crunch coming from the needle from the record into a
yeah,
preamp into that, so everything was a bit degraded. Sometimes it was into a 12-bit sampler. Sometimes you were grabbing samples of an MCP. So everything had this kind of organic-y
yeah.
DIY. But
I
what you
remember
said
as
earlier,
go
what you
ahead.
said earlier on, looking back at that's 1997. It was a blueprint. It definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't thought of it that way, but it is definitely. There's elements in there. You're going, we all copied this record. We all
oh
sort of
yeah.
went, this is the
Especially
one
those
to do.
breakdowns, the high string coming in, the stuff fading away, your riff coming. So many people. And I don't. I mean, obviously there was records it's all everyone's copying off the next person to the next person to the next person to the
Yeah.
next person. It's all obviously an evolution, but there's keystone moments, I think, and this track 100% is one of those moments where you're just like, fuck,
Yeah.
how is that track made? Like,
Yeah. No, it's incredible. And when you break it all down and hear it in solo and in silence, it's the parts playing off each other, the little groove and the delay, the bit of a reverb on the bass, the bass line staying straight and all the chords going up and down. It just, it all. It's one of those ones where it's one of those studio ones where everything just comes together in a
yeah.
glorious fashion. Just so. Uh, so 2 weeks of really, really, really extraordinarily hard work.
Yeah, it's fun, the best fun ever. It's my happy place, just listening to that stuff and just like trying to figure it out and going, that's what it is.
See, you love all that. I ultimately
Yeah.
get really frustrated after about 30 seconds and go,
Yeah, there was a few annoying bits. Getting that bass to sound, I was like, it must be a lately bass, but it's wrong. And then I just was like, I was like, ooh, that's it.
but those were the tools we had. It was, pitch up, pitch down. We didn't have loads, as you say, soothes or multi-band distortions or anything, available to it.
Yeah.
So it was, there was rudimentary things you would do to a sample. You pitch it up, you pitch it down. You pitch up an oscillator. You would.
And are you going to be getting an interview with the man himself? Is that on the cards?
We are chatting at the moment. I have sent back potentially interested, and another email has went back. So hopefully
That'd be good. It'd be good to ask him.
Yeah, it would be really good to pick his brains. What he felt like, did it all come together? Was it like pure fluke in the studio? Or,
I know, well, that's the thing. There was some elements there, like that bass. Did he press a button and just went, "Oh, that's a really cool bass"?
Yeah.
Or
is he
listening?
a boffin?
Are you going? I really want that bass to be subbier, so I'm going to adjust the FM modulation matrix to, how far.
Did anybody in 1997 know exactly how to use FF? Still people to this day. I haven't a clue how FM works. So yeah, hopefully we have got Chicane who's talking about offshore. We have Thrill Seekers who's talking about synthesasia, and we have Steve Jones from both the Space Brothers and Lustral and even Ascension. I mean, they were doing.
Oh, was that are they Ascension as well?
Yeah, and Chakra
Right,
Home.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I
did an Ascension remix.
Did you was that on
For a Lifetime?
Right.
So it was Alex Gould. I was producing for him, but
yeah, so it was on his label, wasn't it?
Yes, it was on Extravaganza. Yeah.
So that's Steve Jones. So they were Luster. We were talking about Luster. The Neil and Kane remix of that big dun 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 dun
Yeah.
just those
That's
seminal
class. I didn't know
moments.
he was all those people.
They were everyone at that point, and we dug into why did you do so many names, and he just said at one point it was just getting ridiculous.
And if anyone's wondering what tracks we're talking about here, we have a playlist that we'll put in the
Yes.
description as well, so you can go and listen to all the tracks. We've got them. I think they're in order by release date, so it sort of is
Are
a
they?
chronological. I think so, a chronological journey through the history of Balearic.
We also have a classic Balearic kick pack. We also have a classic Balearic and a 2-pack, which has all these sounds in it, and of course Home in it, and El Nino in it, and
Yeah.
all the sort of classic big pads, sort of JV to pads and stuff. And we have a sample pack, which is sort of getting all our drums and stuff together. So we will be doing again a remix competition, because myself and Phil are going to do a masterclass. So we're going to we're going to do a classic Balearic track, build it up. As you remember, Phil last year had a record of the week, was it? Tune of the week on A State of Trance with a coast to coast remix, which was hark back to the Balearic sort of vibes.
Yeah, that was sort of I was trying to certainly keep a bit of old school coast to coast vibes in it.
And obviously absolutely worked, because State of Trance, the biggest show in the world, voted it tune of the year or tune of the week. So we'll have some home elements, we'll have some El Nino or everyday elements. And
we'll try and I think we're going to sort of just try and build it on the fly, aren't we? That's the vibe. I'll maybe have chords, and then we can just sort of go from there. Should we try and get a vocal Don't know what.
No, because we didn't have vocals. I mean, think of all
No.
the tracks. They weren't
They
vocally.
were all crowbarred in afterwards, weren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. They were all bootlegs. You know, it was all Tokami, Miracle, and
Yeah.
I forgot there was an offshore one that Anthony Papa did, and then that was re-released with a vocal on it. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be digging in because I mean it's our era. It's what we kind of know inside out. We know the presets used, the synths used, and we'll hopefully give you a big insight into how it all operated back in the day.
Cool.
So, guys, thank you very much for watching. We hope you really enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please hit us up on Discord. We're always on lurking about there, and we'd love to answer any questions you have about Classic Balearic and what was used, what was done. So, if you have any questions, join us on Discord and enjoy the masterclass and the remix competition.
Cool. Catch us all
All right.
later.
See you soon.